Life does not always announce its hardest chapters with noise. Sometimes it arrives quietly, wrapped in routine, silence, and the heavy feeling that the world has moved on without asking if you are ready. And this is where the story of a man like Ove speaks so deeply to so many seniors, because it reflects what countless people feel but rarely say out loud. The slow shrinking of a world once filled with purpose. The empty chair where a loved one used to sit. The mornings that feel longer than they should, and the nights that echo with memories instead of voices. And yet within this quiet struggle lives something powerful, something unbreakable, something that daily path to strength exists to remind you of. And that is the truth that strength does not fade with age. It only changes form. It becomes quieter, steadier, deeper, and more meaningful. Ove's life teaches us that discipline does not disappear when the body slows down. It transforms into principles, into values, into routines that keep a person standing even when grief tries to pull them down. And many seniors watching this know exactly what that feels like. Waking up every day with rules you live by, not because anyone is watching, but because order gives meaning, because responsibility gives structure, because doing things properly is a way of honoring the life you built. And yet life can still take from you. It can take the person who understood you without words, the one who softened your edges, the one who made the silence bearable. And when that happens, the world may look at you and see someone stubborn, grumpy, difficult. But inside there is a heart that once loved deeply, worked honestly, and carried burdens without complaint. And that kind of heart does not disappear just because it hurts. It hardens to survive, not to push people away. And this is where the real lesson begins. Because the greatest danger in later life is not weakness, it is isolation. It is believing that your usefulness has expired, that your presence no longer matters, that your story has already been told. But Ove's journey reminds us that life is not finished simply because one chapter closed. Sometimes the most meaningful connections happen when you least expect them, through neighbors you didn't ask for, through small acts you didn't plan, through helping someone not because you want to, but because it is who you are at your core. And for seniors, this is a powerful reminder that kindness is not a personality trait. It is a discipline. It is a choice made daily, even when you are tired, even when you are hurting, even when the world feels unfair. And strength after 60 is not about lifting heavy weights or running fast. It's about getting up when no one is cheering, about keeping your word when it would be easier to give up, about holding on to values when the world seems to have abandoned them. And Ove represents that unspoken resilience. The man who fixes things not because he enjoys it, but because broken things should be repaired. The man who stands up for rules not because he loves control, but because rules protect people, because order keeps chaos from swallowing everything. And seniors understand this deeply because they come from a time when responsibility mattered, when promises meant something, when work was done properly, even if no one noticed. And this speech is here to tell you that those values still matter. They still shape the world, even if the world pretends not to notice. And yet life has a way of surprising us, because even the most closed hearts can be reopened by simple human connection. A smile from a neighbor, a child asking a question, someone needing help moving a box. And slowly, almost without permission, purpose creeps back in. Not in grand achievements, but in small moments that remind you that you are still needed, still capable, still relevant. And this is where Daily Path to Strength speaks directly to you. Because strength is not measured by how loud your life is, but by how much integrity you carry into every quiet moment. And seniors often carry more integrity than anyone else, forged by decades of sacrifice, loss, love, failure, perseverance, and rebuilding. And if you feel like the world no longer sees you, remember this: the strongest foundations are invisible. They sit beneath the surface, holding everything up. And that is what you are, a foundation. And Ove's story teaches that even when you think your time is over, life may still have work for you to do, people for you to impact, lessons for you to pass on, simply by being who you are. And perhaps the most important lesson is this: that vulnerability is not weakness. Letting someone in does not erase your strength. It reveals it. Allowing yourself to care again does not undo your discipline. it gives it direction. And seniors often believe they must endure everything alone, that asking for help diminishes them. But in truth, allowing connection is an act of courage, because it means choosing life even after life has hurt you. And that choice is not easy. It requires emotional strength that only comes from experience, from surviving storms that would break the untested. And this is why stories like this resonate so deeply with older audiences, because they reflect the quiet battles fought behind closed doors, the silent victories no one applauded, the nights you survived simply by staying, by not giving up, by continuing to exist even when it felt pointless. And if you are listening to this and feeling seen, feeling understood, know this: your presence matters more than you realize. Your discipline, your sense of right and wrong, your willingness to show up even when tired, these things shape families, neighborhoods, and lives in ways that cannot be measured. And sometimes the greatest contribution you make is not what you do, but the example you set, the calm you bring, the steadiness you offer in a world that feels increasingly unstable. And Ove's journey reminds us that meaning does not vanish with loss. It waits quietly for us to notice it again, often disguised as inconvenience, often arriving through people we didn't choose, but always offering a chance to reconnect with life. And Daily Path to Strength exists to tell you that your path is not finished, your strength has not expired, and your story is still unfolding, even if it looks different now. Because strength in later life is about endurance, about character, about choosing decency in a world that rewards noise, about continuing to care when it would be easier not to. And if you take anything from this message, let it be this: you are not behind, you are not forgotten, and you are not done. Your quiet strength is still needed, your wisdom still matters, and your presence still has the power to change lives, sometimes without you ever realizing it. And as you continue on your daily path, remember that every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Every act of kindness is strength in action, and every day you choose to stay engaged with life is proof that resilience does not fade with age. It deepens, it matures, and it becomes something truly powerful. And if this message resonated with you, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Daily Path to Strength, and share it with someone who may be walking a quiet path of their own. Because sometimes all it takes is one voice to remind us that we are not alone, and that strength, real strength, lives on.